Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. And I hope everybody can hear me well. Gunnar, you want to do a small sound check for yourself as well?
Yes, can you hear me well?
Y'all can just leave a thumbs up or tell us yes if you can hear us. Okay, great. Hi, thank you for joining us today. We have Gunnar with us, who is obviously a senior partner and strategic alliance manager at Hootsuite. He's been associated with Current Ninja since about a year now, and he's been helping Current Ninja learners, mentoring them, and been doing these amazing webinars with us. I'm particularly excited about today's webinar because it's going to be about the upcoming year, which is 2022. He's going to give you certain very invaluable tips, which, to be honest, when we were discussing this webinar, I was very, very excited about. So I'm very, very excited for you to, experience this webinar. I would also want you to stick around towards the end because we have certain surprises lined up for you guys. And I would love for you to sort of, look at them and stick on till the end. Plus the tips at the end are some really amazing ones. So without wasting much time, Gunnar, over to you.
Thank you very much, and welcome and hi everyone. Can you hear me well? Just as a little confirmation. Kagi, from you, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you very well, Gunnar.
Lovely. So hi everyone. So my name is Gunnar. I'm actually based in Sydney, Australia, and I look after Asia Pacific when it comes to the partnerships that we have here at Hootsuite. What I would like to do today, I would like to show you 7 ways how we can manage social media in a better way for next year. And that is all based about the research that we do here at Hootsuite. Before we really get into the topic, just some kind of housekeeping rules. So please, if you could be so kind and also reduce the chance of buffering, close whatever is bandwidth heavy. And also, if you would like to talk about it on Instagram, so we have a special hashtag there called Career Ninja X Hootsuite that you can type about this. And if you would like to ask anything, please feel free to use the chat, because that way would work actually quite well. So the contributors that we have for what I present today is actually 2. On one side is my colleague Sarah. She's the head of content at Hootsuite. Our head office is in Vancouver, and we have done a major study already for the 6th year in a row. We call it Social Trends, and she will shortly talk about it in a quick video. And on my side, I look after different type of partnerships from agencies up to larger companies like Microsoft, Adobe, and so on here in Asia Pacific, which includes India. And let me check that I can play a bit about Sarah, what she has to say.
Hello, everybody out there at Career Ninja in India. It's so great to be here with you today. My name is Sarah Dolly. I'm the head of content at Hootsuite. So my team is responsible for creating things like our Social Trends 2022 report, which you're going to hear a lot about today. It's based on a survey of over 18,100 marketers, and it's got some amazing insights on all the biggest forces shaping social in the year ahead. You're also going to hear about some data specific to India from our digital 2021 report. And the 2022 version of that report is going to be dropping in January. So keep your eyes open for that. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Gunnar. Gunnar, take it away.
So thank you, Sarah, for that one. So that's nice. So then let's look into some of the topics. So the way how I created that is that we have some question also for you. And please be so kind and let me know, or us know, in the chat, who do you think, which are the social platforms do you personally, in your environment, consider the most effective for reaching your business goals, either personally or in your company environment? So which would it be? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp, Pinterest, Snapchat? Which are your favorites? You can name 1, 2, 3, whatever number you would like to do. So I see many write Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. Interesting. Facebook is not there. Ah, yes, somebody said Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Thank you for writing. So that's very interesting. Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, let's see. Funny enough, there's a reason that they have this order. It's not by alphabet, as you can see. But yeah, hey, one is writing about Pinterest. Thank you for that, because we should not neglect that. So let's have a look which social platforms you consider the most. What this study says. So that's a global study, 18,100 answers that we got. That's the biggest that we've ever done. And this report is massive, but I only would like to show a little bit about it. The interesting thing here, globally speaking, Facebook #1, then Instagram, then LinkedIn, then Twitter and YouTube. But if you look at the data in 2022, Facebook, Instagram, they're losing popularity, while others, and that's global numbers like WhatsApp, Pinterest, even Snapchat, YouTube, even a bit Twitter and TikTok are growing. I know about TikTok relevance in India is different, being banned, but TikTok is less about the platform. It's more about the kind of short videos. That's what TikTok gave the world. So therefore, that's also a trend that I see, particularly in India. So that's an interesting one, just as an example. So what we have done, we really looked into a lot of data points. We asked so many people about it to figure out what actually makes sense, what the trend will be, what to invest in, and how that looks like. So then that is just one of the examples that I would like to show to you. But let's look further into India. So beyond these social trends that we do once a year, we also have a global report of Digital 2021 that comes out in January, and every quarter we do an update to figure out where we stand. And that is available for large countries such as India, as well as some of the very small islands in the Pacific, even as small as Norfolk Island, which is northeast of Australia, where I have the feeling I know nearly everyone who's there on social media. So let's have a look. I picked some data really directly from India and keen about to hear your view about it. So the internet adoption, and that all is it's based on facts. Internet adoption is yet around half. That of course that's not that far, but it means there's a lot of growth possible compared to 91% in India. So, but let's only start where India has been behind, and let me show you the others. The usage of voice assistants like Siri, India is second place in the world with 32% of people who are using the internet, of these half of population, they're using voice assistant. That's far above any of other mature regions. So that's great. This means it means something. And also it shows using voice is some important thing. When it comes to podcast, India is 7th place worldwide with 22% of people who are actually using a podcast regularly, at least once per week. That's good. So this means the usage of podcasts is a way how people like to consume content. The next one is video calls. And I know this because I talked to Career Ninja, to Gagi, to Shone, to many of the people there, often by video, and nearly half. And that is already 6th place worldwide speaking. So India is really top in the trends, and that's what I like. When we look into vlogs, so not blog, but video logs, there's even the 5th place. So that shows us something. It shows us that video is important in India. People would like to see them live, and that's a critical place. Actually, even the usage of a virtual private network, India is worldwide leading. So nearly half of the population who are using the internet. That's a lot. And when it comes to online shopping, so one start from that. So ordering groceries online, 1/3 of everyone is doing this. So that is the 6th place worldwide. That of course came now with the pandemic, when it was not so easy to go somewhere else, but it's India on the 6th place, not European countries. So this is, of course, very important when it comes to trends like social commerce. Some more data points from India. If you would comment something, if you want to see, please feel free. I see the chat, what's going on, that's good. So does advertising represent its audience? India is the 3rd place with 22%. Why is this important? it shows us one thing. It shows us that those companies who use social commerce, that they actually set and place it on Indian people be part in the advertising with the use of trends like user-generated content. Instead of, you would see advertising with people from America or Europe, which doesn't look like your environment exactly. That's good. And third place worldwide. So that was a big surprise for me to see this. And that's good for brands. The reach of YouTube, because some of you mentioned YouTube, 448 million people, massive. First place, USA, around half. And that's massive. 38% of all of the population above 18 can be reached with YouTube. Video matters. It's the second largest search engine anyway. Facebook ad reach, still 349 million people, first place. It's growing from last quarter. Instagram growing massively, 200 million people growing. And that means also something. It means that advertising on the social channels is a very relevant way how brands can work and reach people. Someone there is still not muted, would be kind if Gagi, you could mute everyone. So then the last one here would be LinkedIn, which is my favorite channel by myself, is professional networking, and India at least is second place, just below the US. So that's great. And it's also growing while other countries are partially shrinking. So there's massive data available that also many journalists are taking every quarter from Hootsuite to place their kind of statements and interpretations. So that was something as concrete as I could find around India. And we will also make the studies available. So let's look further. So Sarah and her team created 5 big trends. And I would like to add, what are the 7 things you can do with it? Because understanding trends is good, but action is what really counts. So was there somebody asking a question? So let me try to mute. Okay, so that should work now. Got it. So number 1 trend, the brand strategy. So it was over the last years, it was quite a difficult thing that brands wanted to use social media, but that didn't really attract the audience well enough. And that was always a big tricky thing. But in the meantime, that really looks good. So the brands finally get community right. And the way how they do it is using creators, because social media would be nothing without the content, of course. So let me show you what I mean with that. So what's the trend? Instead of trying to build a community from the ground up, the smartest brands in 22, they will tap into creator communities to connect with new audiences, to earn trust, and to gain cultural capitals. And there are actually 2 ways how to make that happen. And there's one way where the creators actually are educated, and that's with Career Ninja. So then there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to this. And the first one is, let's look into influencers. So then here are 4 examples of the very vast range of influencers that we have seen, particularly in India. I mean, I've been watching Bollywood movies for the last 20, 30 years, and I really know some of the names over there. But the tricky thing is with influencers. They represent their own audience. If a brand would like to connect to that, take George Clooney and his role that he plays with Nespresso, it still is him. If he would then move to another company, that's not good for the brand. But at least these in India, as massive as the market is with so many influencers, of course, there's still this exponential growth, particularly in the next year, as brand will be very smart to identify how their product niche works and how can you borrow the brands of the influencers together and tap into loyal followers. That's one side of the thing. But the trend goes like this, and that is the tip number 1, what you need to do. When we work with influencers, and that doesn't need to mean the big, massive people everyone knows. But what's important, to localize your strategy from national influencers to go to regional micro influencers to support the audience. And that is critical. That's a worldwide global trend. So I just spoke about George Clooney, but it is so important. And we see this here in Australia, we see it in other places, that when you look into the micro influencer from Sydney, it means something more, but the same national brand might have another micro influencer in Melbourne, another one in Perth, to really be as concrete. And the same is actually valid in a large country such as India, because not everyone resonates with influencers who are located in Mumbai when you are maybe in Calcutta, obviously. So therefore, working with influencers is good, but the more concrete down you get into micro influencers, the more also those people appreciate that the brand talks to them. So that's an important thing. That's tip number one. Influencer marketing, micro influence is the way how the trend goes. The other one, the other trend here, or the other part of the trend is a creator community. So here's one example that's American. Didn't find the complete one in India for this one, but there was one very boring type of product, a company who have storage where you would put something there if you go traveling for a month. But what they realized that people wanted to do a lot of do-it-yourself stuff and wanted to clean all their houses in the pandemic. So what they've done, they didn't use that particular company here called Big Duck. They didn't take an influencer with their audience, but what they've done, they found a person who was quite famous in the way how he is running his pool stuff, a pool cleaner, a creator. So they didn't tap into his audience like an influencer, but what they've done, they figured out the way how he is doing his work, and then they applied it to this company, Big Duck. So it's exactly the opposite of an influencer. Their brands would like to attach to that audience, but here they try to grow their own audience by taking a person and the particular way how he's doing things. So that means, and that is it's a massive one. Support the growth of vibrant content creators, and they build value for your audience. So if I'm a brand, if I'm a brand like, let me pick something like a do-it-yourself shop. We have one here in Australia called Bunnings. And if there would be a person on the TV is known for his do-it-yourself stuff, then Bunnings would be happy in the way how he does that, not for his fans, but for his creativity. And that's the point. That's a different from the influencers. So the brands are now tapping these two things well, using micro influencers and work with creators. So the question is, particularly on social media, where can you find people who are clever in the way what they create? And in my view, they're at Career Ninja, because that's where this education platform, what it's for, to get you in the way how social media should work well, how the digital marketing is growing, so that you are encouraged to be as creative as possible. And that starts from the top with Shwanit in the way how he created his own way of a TED talk with quite provocative way when it comes to education. And that's what I like about it. So Career Ninja is creating creators. And now the third one for brands. And the topic is called user-generated content, or UGC. And that continues to be popular because there's many brands who realize that the pictures that they would have normally, they might be quite off the reality. So that is also a global trend. I mean, if you think companies like McDonald's, the way how they picture it and what you get is pretty much a difference. So therefore, it's much better, instead of choosing models to show dresses or whatever, to tap into real people and utilize the power of photos from happy customers. So I'm here located in Sydney. I can see from my window the Sydney Opera House, which is one of the most famous buildings maybe in the world. And the Sydney Opera House is using Hootsuite for user-generated content, because people go there, they make selfies sitting with their friends outside, maybe without mask even, it's good. and then the opera house can take all of these photos. The only thing what it needs, and the same worldwide, like here, this KFC is Indian examples, is to then ensure that you can grab the user rights for the pictures and that you can use it. And that can be done actually also inside of Hootsuite. So user-generated content, or UGC, is a big way how companies can utilize the power of happy customers. And it looks so real. So that's my tip number 3. Use user-generated content, combine the organic social media posting with UGC and do it in the same platform. But that's what you can actually also do in Hootsuite together with the addition for UGC. And it's so real, and I like it. So if you go to a place and then you have people from that place, it's exactly right. There was a first trend with 3 tips, some more to come. So the second one will be about social advertising. And if you remember, I had all the starts of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So then in the meantime, the brands get creative as consumers wise up to advertisers. So the trend here, marketers are planning to spend more on social ads in 2022, but they have to work harder to create ads that mirror and enrich the distinct experience each social network offers. What does that actually mean? In the past, the advertiser would be the same, and it follows you on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, even on LinkedIn, on Google. But in the meantime, that looks completely different. That means it will go for each social network. So you can see with the advent of these short videos that TikTok gave, that was the reason that Instagram has Instagram Reels. So a brand would advertise on Instagram completely different compared to how it would do it in other social channels. And that's an important topic. So then here's a couple of examples here from on the left-hand side. That is from Samsung in Netherlands. What they realized, they took for a new phone. I'm on Apple, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no doubt that particularly the camera and video qualities of Samsung are great. What they've taken is something what only Snapchat offers. And that is how you can combine the camera to the face and the other camera. So both cameras together. So here's as an example, how somebody is cooking. You can see the chef, the lady talking what she's cooking, and also what she's actually doing. That is something that only Snapchat has. So it's a combination of that. You might have seen as well, particularly those who follow me on Facebook, I love using from the phones. I use the triple camera, or at least a dual camera, for the reason that I would have the portrait mode, which together with Facebook adds a 3D effect that's only on Facebook, not on the phone. So therefore, brands are now going also the way, how can you do this together? Same in the middle example, State Farm is one of the largest insurances in the US, also using Hootsuite. And what they are doing, they utilize Pinterest's way how to plan things, to plan lifestyle, key life milestones together, like buying the home or whatever, and they put it together on Pinterest. That's an interesting way. And the third one here, Arcon, what they've been doing, they use these short videos on TikTok, and that's of course is one way as well how that could be done. When I mean TikTok, I mean mostly, they use TikTok, but these short videos, and there will be different ways how short videos will come in the future, knowing that TikTok is currently not in India. But that means the brands are now finding ways how they can utilize the particular networks in a better way. That means tip number 4, and you remember the stats I showed of India, that how many people are using video calls, for example, or video logs. So important. In your social media, embed highly engaging short videos in your brand's content and advertising. So whatever company you're working with for social media, do this. even YouTube will have YouTube Shorts, a different way of short, quick advertising. And it doesn't mean you need to dance. And I remember my wife showed me a nice series of short videos on TikTok from my grandmother who's cooking. She has no clue on social media, but it's her niece. She's recording all of this one, and she becomes popular. So that's great, but with the power of short, crisp videos. Nobody has the time to watch 1 hour. And that is a big trend. Use mobile video, use it platform by platform in a different way. So also we have trend number 3 is return on investment, and that's a big one. As we hear this so often from companies, they say, yeah, social media, our marketing team, somewhere there in the corner, they do this, they're young, crazy people. But I think time is over for that. Social quietly matures out of the marketing department. Here at Hootsuite, we actually say social has a place in the boardroom. And that's critical because it is the board of directors to make decisions, while it's the C-level, like CEO and CMO for the chief marketing officer, who then execute that. And I'm very happy that I'm a board member as well. And for me, for the hotel where I'm a member of the board, so then yes, social media has a seat at the board table. But it only comes because over the last year or two, companies were able to show and prove a positive return on investment of using social media is not a nice to have anymore. So the trend, leaders are most confident in the ROI of social are now buffing up. They use programs like employee advocacy or workforce activation, whatever you call it, where people are happily sharing content on their own personal social media channels to show their network that they're happy to work there. So the leaders are most confident in the ROI. They also master social listening to gather the consumer insights. And social listening is so critical. If you take airlines, for example, something happens, sometimes it does. So then that's critical to figure out fast what's going on in the sentiment from the customers. And the organization are looking to deliver the kind of impact that social has on the marketing in the whole organization. So therefore, but how can we make that happen? So first, what we need to do is to plan, to publish, and to perform, and use the social media calendar, for example, of Hootsuite. That's an easy Google Sheet you can copy and do for yourself to start out. So that's a good one. But of course, what you can also do is to go straight into all of the content. I would like to show you, and I hope, please Gagi, tell me that it works. On the Hootsuite blog itself, we have plenty of content free available for everyone, with a lot of how you can do the things, like how you can create the social media calendar, how you can create a proper social media strategy, and it's all there with free tools, so that's working well. And if you then want to do this, let's look into my Hootsuite. I hope it didn't sleep. So this is a Hootsuite platform that we have, where you have the different type of streams. So here, for example, it's my Twitter. Somewhere would be here my LinkedIn sitting there, and we can also plan the content. So that's what's scheduled, what's going on this LinkedIn, not on my company page. You can see different type of access about the tool that we are part of the webinar we are currently talking sits here as well. And in my publisher, I have the chance to plan this and figure out how that would work. So for example, for next week, I loaded a couple of points already, a post on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I changed them slightly per the networks, a different type of time. And what you can see, and that many of you might have not seen before, there's a new function which even tells us when is a recommended time, given the last 30 days of my post, when the highest engagement actually happened. So that means LinkedIn, Hootsuite tells me that this post on Facebook I should rather do at 7 a.m., but not at 7:35 where I put it on. So then there's a lot of artificial intelligence behind, which tells us and helps us and guides us. And that's important. But even moreover, when we go about the topics about return on investment, critical is also to understand what does it lead to? How does this whole analytics work? And while I'm now loading this, I would like to show you a couple of things what we can have, the different type of that was not what I wanted to show, the different type of post performance, how the whole analytics works. And that's so difficult to do this without a proper tool. But I would see the different type of topics, what happened, the engagement level on the different type of posts. I can see the performance of the best time when I should publish, what I just mentioned, all sits there. I can see also the different type of reports, like, for example, my posts on LinkedIn. I can figure out everything. Thank you. I know that's now new, that I find out how often do I post, how often it happened, what are the reactions. And look, we have a post which was 150,000 views, about 600 people reacted to it, and so on. And the all statistics sits there. I can compare it in all directions, whatever I would like to do. I can export it. I can show it to my management. I can refresh it. I can go back to it. I can reshare this, and I can have so much analytics about it. And even the good thing, brands often would like to ask themselves, if this particular campaign, launching a new product or a new branch offices, how does that perform? So you can put it into certain campaigns across social channels. No way to do this inside of the same platform. So without being in the same platform, if you try to do this in LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, you never get a holistic view, and that you have all in this type of analytics together. That's the beauty thing. So then it starts here. You need to plan and then publish and see the performance of the whole content. And we have with a lot of free tools. And actually, what you will get early next week is also a one-pager where I have all the tips that I talk about, all in one page. All the links are there that you can find that. So getting further here, social media calendar, in my view, if you plan 80% of your content, as you've seen optically I've done in Hootsuite, that you can do weekly, and then you create about 20% on the fly inside the same tool, of course, because you might want to react. That some people get you a lot of feedback and engagement, what you can use and create something new. So these are how the tools can work together, the social media calendar. And then here's an example of where I've just been showing you inside the analytics. And you can analyze. Based on this, you can adjust and get and give advice to figure out what's possible for the follower growth, for the content, because content creates conversations which you can convert into whatever your targets are. So that's the important thing here. So Hootsuite Analytics and another link where there's more data about that. So therefore, social analytics compare campaign results across the channels and use also this best time to publish function to get even better engagement. And that actually we added new to have artificial intelligence inside of the platform. That was tip number 6. And now let's cover the last two trends. First one, we had the Indian statistic there, is about social commerce. So social becomes the heart of the post-pandemic shopping experience. So then in all countries in the world, you couldn't really do all of the shopping in the same way as before, and we won't go back into what we had. So it will be a kind of an omni-channel in the way how commerce will look like. So the area of social commerce is in full swing, and the opportunity is only getting bigger. So competitive small businesses, and the whole world sits on small business in Australia, in India, and many countries in the world. They're finding a balance between a social storefront and bricks and mortar regular physical shops. And the large brands that test even the outer limits of this one, but particularly in smaller shops. And there's so many that have been in India and in other Asian countries who do have a chance for that, to sell products, not just on Amazon or Etsy, or eBay, but directly using Instagram for the social storefront. So then we see massive trends there. And what really is important there is not just to have the offering, but to be there also available for the conversations. And even here in Hootsuite, we acquired a company called Heyday, who does exactly that, is social commerce. But the most important thing here on social commerce is to be able to speak the language of the customers, to be as local or regional as possible. So we all know Twitter, but there's an Indian company called Koo. I didn't know it beforehand, to be honest. And it's a bit like Twitter, but the beauty of it, it is using local languages. So half of everything that is written on this Indian social media channel is not in English. And that actually is a good thing, because not everyone would like to talk it in English. And the brands need to get into the language of their customers. So therefore, kudos to those two who created this growing company. And that has been recognized worldwide. You saw, I find it here on businessstandard.com. So tip number 7, utilize local language content. It doesn't matter that Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube are international, but use and create content on social media for the people which they can understand, not just in English. And even if you would use English, like here in Australia, we don't write and speak American English. We surely have Aussie English, which is more British, but even different. So therefore, even on these small nuances, it's important, use content that the audience realized that they talk to me. And that is a critical piece. Whenever you create content, there's a lot of way and training in Career Ninja about how to create content and utilize that it can be engaged, then make this happen. So the last trend, without a very practical tip, but I just would like to complete this, and that's an important one for large brands in particular, is the trend to customer care. So I just booked a flight to Europe in February because my family is from there. But if you'd ever try to call an airline, half an hour, 45 minutes, it takes ages. So therefore, social marketers, they're the ones who save the brand from the customer service apocalypse. What does that mean? And that's a critical one. So we all know that global supply chains are halting and staffing are short and product shipping for Christmas is not easy. Therefore, there's many not so happy customers in 2022, particularly now with more and more shopping required for festive seasons in different ways and different beliefs that we have, whatever we call it. But normally, November, December is full of shipping. But the demand for customer service over social is increasing heavily. So social media managers, they now find themselves in an ideal position to play the hero and steer the organization through the upheaval. That's important. So how can you do this? Coming back here on the social customer care. So imagine I would like to now communicate to that airline, and they only have the telephone line, and they do not have an email hotline or something like that. That's a nightmare. And the young generation is not the one who likes to spend hours on the phone. Rather, we do many things at once. So I would expect an airline talks to me using WhatsApp, maybe, or whatever type of a chat function. And therefore, there are tools, and we have one here at Hootsuite called Spark Central, which allows to serve the customer on all channels. And if, for example, I would like from the airline something on their Facebook, I would download something from the website, and I would maybe tweet about something as well. I expect that actually that call agent that serves my case knows that. But most companies are behind. But social media can help. And a number here, a global one, but surely valid in India as well, to solve a topic, a customer care example is $7 on phone and $1 on social media, whatever the timing for that means. But at the end, it's more effective using social media. So the trend goes there. So this means what we need to have, and that is valid particular, if you remember the stats from India, 47% of people are on the internet with more growing all the time. So this means what we need to have is well-established, well-trained social media managers. So how does that work? So first of all, more details about this report is available at Hootsuite.com Research Social Trends, and I will make the link available to you. And these social media managers, where they are growing and learning in India, is actually Career Ninja. And the beauty here is also, as we have a collaboration together, parts of the Hootsuite education platform is included here in the regular courses of Career Ninja. And you can use Hootsuite also as a central social media management tool. So we have a much longer period of a free trial, which is normally 30 days. We have 90 days with Career Ninja that you can really find it out for the company that hires you or what you work for. So these are a couple of things what I wanted to share with you. And now, that was my 5 trends. That was the 7 tips that you receive as one paper as well. And now I really ask you to ask some kind of questions. And if memory serves me well, Dagi, you already shared some of the questions that the participants shared earlier when they registered. So let me go through them. So let me read them first, and then I will also answer some that you might have and edit. So, or better to say, let me start just as somebody here already there. So here's one question from, I think, 10 minutes ago. How can we increase the traffic towards our social page? Of course, that's very broadly speaking, but what you need to have in order to get traffic there is you would need to have content that is placed where people are, that they can get it into your page. So if I, for example, would use, let me take Instagram, let me take LinkedIn as one example, which I know best. If I would like to have, if I can share content on it and nobody sees it, of course, that's a typical thing. So there's different ways how you can create the content in a way that it attracts people. If I use the right level of hashtags, if I post it at the right time, if I tag people in from whom I know, there's a likelihood that they respond. If I'm part of groups, LinkedIn has them, Facebook has them, where I can also share the content inside, where relevant people are there that they can also engage with my content. And that way I can bring traffic to my social media channel. That actually was also the same question that I just saw there, also came in already there in the register question. That's good. So the next question here, is it useful for understanding the social media trends or not? Yes, it is surely useful because you have 2 options. Option number 1, figure out where the trend goes. And when there is a reason for this and you add your local data, then you can't be wrong with it. Option number 2 is a slight variation. If you would see only a smaller community would use Pinterest, for example, but you might like it and you might figure out your own personal way how you can make that happen for your brand, then don't care too much about the trend, but find your own niche or your own way of doing so. So that's an important thing. So many people here in Australia, they would say you need to be on LinkedIn, you do all of this, and I do. But I recognize for me also Twitter has a massive value, not just to listen, to see what's going on, but how I can share even images and text in smaller chunks. So therefore, there's a way outside of the trends, find your niche outside of the trends, but you need to understand first what they are. Next one, how can someone generate quality leads by organic social media or paid campaigns? Ideally, if you can work both together. So over the years, the reach of organic has been decreasing, but organic or paid social media has been increasing. And the tricky thing is how to bring this together. Large companies, they might have even 2 different teams for that, who have different tools. But in the meantime, it's better if you put this together, that you know how the paid, how the organic works. So we have this in Hootsuite since actually in November. that you can use campaigns, paid campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, as well as organic one. So then generating leads, of course, is don't try to pitch products too early. The biggest thing here is you do not want to sell in order to make sales. The word selling from original old medieval English means helping. You want to help someone achieve an outcome. As a salesperson, I don't want to be known as the one who got to President Club and got 169% of performance, but rather, how did I uncover that the customer has a problem before the customer knows that? How can I help them on a transformation to make them that happy that they can grow, that they even tell it others? Then I've done a good job on sales. And that is where social media can help extremely well with social selling. So next question. If any more questions on the chat, let me know. Otherwise, I take them from the list. So yeah, and also stick around after Q&A to get a chance to get certificate of attendance. Yes, that's important one. And that actually fits here into that question. What is the future of digital marketing in sense of career? Well, I've been in marketing for a while. So then today you would call it analog marketing. There was no digital back then. It was more typical brand and advertising in magazines, on TV, on billboards. In the meantime, digital marketing is growing. So the different type of functions in organizations are increasing. But for me, the future of digital marketing is in the collaboration between marketing, not being a silo anymore, and sales and management. So the importance of marketing gets larger. So to say this in a very black and white picture, in my view, marketing talks to an audience, sales talks to an individual. In social media, we do actually both. So then it's always something in between. It's two sides of the same coin. So therefore, digital marketing today might be less people compared to salespeople, but in order to be relevant in sales, you need to have a marketing understanding. How do you get it in sales? You need to talk to your marketing team, but they need to have more people. So that for me is the future of digital marketing. It will be more important. Next question here. What is the scope in paid advertising? Not too sure what you mean with scope. If I see this from the stats point of view, in terms of engagement, I see, or the reach point of view, in stats that we have seen in October, the reach of paid versus organic is even double in the meantime. So this means with organic content, you only get a certain way, but with paid content, you get further, but you need to ensure that that fits together well. So that's a very important one. And by the way, thank you for Gagi, for also showing my LinkedIn URL. You can simply click on it and shoot me connection requests. I would appreciate. So the next question here: the best influencer marketing strategy. How often should it be done in a week, month to see real growth? What you cannot do with influencers is to hop and hop and hop. 1 month this person, another one that person. It takes a while until people know that. And it takes even longer after the campaign is over that people still connect a face to a brand or product. Like what I mentioned with George Clooney and Nespresso. You might not do this anymore, but still, when I go and walk in Sydney where we have Nespresso, I always think about him. And that's important thing. So therefore, in terms of influencer marketing, use micro-influencers, help them also grow. Not just to say the influencer is the top guy and we are a small company. It's two-way street, and that way it can work. And I would say if you engage with a micro-influencer, at least 3 months to see results, and to put it as a plan with different type of imagery or video, particular video, short videos, make it in series, that counts. How do I get more share or comments on my post? That's an interesting thing. If somebody shares your content, you post something somewhere and share this further, that does not really count too much. If somebody likes it, that's better. If somebody comments on it, it's even better. If the comment is long enough, not just 2 lines, that's even the best of this. So, but how can you make this more engaging, that is more visible, by simply using the tools that the channel offers you? Give an example. If you use LinkedIn, we just shared my URL, then LinkedIn has a function where you can share a document, like images, like slides, like these 5 trends, just those 5. The algorithm loves that more than an ordinary post. So use something that helps the algorithm of the social media platform. In Instagram, you've seen that people use plenty of hashtags. That is changing. It will be less because so many is perceived as spam. If you try on LinkedIn, your post will be demoted. Makes no sense. So work really in what the content has. So what else do we have? I think we went really through this. Tips for fresh social media marketer to start their work. I would say look what Career Ninja has in terms of content. There's a lot about that. And the blueprint for effective social media content strategy that you find actually on our blog page on the strategy parts. There actually is exactly that. And I will share the links. Thanks for this question. So that's what I noted from here. So, and that was the last one that have been added. So social media content strategy, everything is on the blog. I share that. And fresh social media marketer to start the work. Actually, we also have a lot of content sitting there, which is actually a combination of strategic part, but also as practical as it can be. So how to add a link to Instagram story, how to do this, how to do that across the different type of products. What is the social listening? Why does that matter? How the tools work? It all sits there and is completely free, available for you. So happy that you can use this. So what you will get, and Gagi, I might hand over back to you because you just put in the chat 3 areas what everyone would get, and maybe you can read it by yourself. I'm happy to give back and thank you all for the questions so far.